Hello everyone, it's BPD Warrior here. Today I'm not going to be talking about mental illness at all, actually. I'm going to be talking about my experience today going to the Unity Church. It's different from the Universal Unitarian or whatever it is, the UU Church. They're apparently two different types of inclusive churches, but to start off with, I'm not religious. I consider myself agnostic, leaning towards atheist, but I also use a lot of Buddhist practices in my spirituality. I find Buddhism gives me a lot more sense of self than I ever found with Christianity. And I wasn't raised religious. My family never went to church, but I did often attend church with my Catholic friends who were diehard Catholics, and so my religious experience hasn't been that great. And the area I grew up in is it's in the Bible Belt, so there's a lot of people that are religious here, and so my experiences with religion have not been very positive. I've had a lot of people that are, tried to convert me or try to push me into a religion that I didn't believe, and it wasn't good. And so today, my roommate came downstairs, Anna, and she was dressed up pretty nice, and I was like, "Oh, you look nice today," and she said, "Yeah," and she explained that she was going to the Unity Church, because of the politics that are going on right now, because she'd become so upset about them and so angry yesterday that she just needed some sort of, to reach out and have some community and something like that. And I listened and I was like, you know what, that maybe I'll try that, I'll give it a shot and see how it goes. So I asked her if I could tag along, and she said, yeah, definitely, that they were going to invite me, but they didn't want to be pressuring me. So I went. I was a little bit nervous, but I have to say, in full disclosure, that whenever someone starts talking about God or Jesus, if they're talking about their personal experience, it doesn't bother me, but if they're preaching or trying to change my opinion by bringing up God or Jesus, I immediately get on the defensive. At least internally, I start feeling defensive. I'm very non-confrontational, so I'm usually like, okay, whatever. But internally, I feel all defensive whenever someone brings up God or Jesus, just because of my past experiences. So, the church I found to be very good for me today. Especially, they were really focusing on gratitude was the message. They were talking about finding gratitude no matter what's going on. They used multiple Buddhist proverbs and Buddhist stories, some things from Zen, some biblical scripture. They used multiple religions were included. They did talk about how everyone was welcome, and they included atheists, agnostics, and Christians, and everywhere in between. So I felt welcome there, and I never felt that I was being preached to, even though they multiple times would talk about God and about how we are all God in our own way, sort of thing. But it didn't make me feel uncomfortable. There was prayer, but it was very based on finding gratitude again in the day-to-day experiences you go through, which my life lately has been not so positive, and I haven't been so positive because of it. So it was a very much needed reminder of the good things I have in life, and I did actually keep looking at the tattoo again and remembering, things have been much, much worse. And so I do have that to be grateful for, that my mental health might be in a rut right now, but it's not as terrible as it has been in the past. So I found the church to be very nice. At the end, they asked if there was anyone new, and I raised my hand. They came over and asked my name and gave me a packet of information that I put somewhere. I thought I brought it with me. I guess I did not. A packet of information, and they gave me like a free CD with some information about the church and some readings on in it, and we also sang multiple songs. Some of them, would mention God or Jesus, but I was able to separate that as just the word that is used for some sort of spirituality, because I don't think I believe, and if I do, I don't think there's a point in trying to figure it out in this life. It's kind of where I stand. But I do enjoy being spiritual and follow, some of the Buddhist practices that I've read about that have been very helpful with that. So I felt very welcomed by the church. We did a little thing where we welcomed our neighbor, and everybody came around and hugged each other, and were shaking hands and with all these strangers, and everyone was very nice. And there was a coffee meeting afterwards, where they had snacks and stuff. And I'm part of this secret group that's for women only, and this girl comes up to me and told me she recognized me from the group. So it's we mostly have inappropriate names and joke and not suitable for work humor in our group. But it's a good place to go bitch about things. And she mentioned that she had recognized me from the group, and it was of all places, I would go to a church and then I run into someone from my girls only bitching group. So that was a nice surprise too. But I felt very welcomed. I think it was a really good message I needed to hear, especially at this point in my life. And I'm glad I went. It was a good experience. I was a little weary, but it was good. There was a lot of singing, and they had a projector up with the words, so I was able to sing with the group whenever they were singing. And yeah, it was good. It was a good experience, I think, and definitely I was able to take the message from the meeting instead of focusing too much on the God or Jesus parts of it. I didn't feel pressured or like I was being preached to when I was there. It was very comforting environment. So maybe I'll go back. I don't know. My roommates don't go on a regular basis, but I did find it to be quite helpful. They had told me that the preacher herself was actually an atheist, or had been. I don't know what religion she subscribes to now, but everyone was welcome, and it really did feel like that. It felt everyone was very nice to me, and no one tried to push and shove anything down my throat or force me to come back. They were even no pressure, when I said I might come back. And so they were very nice, and it was a good experience, and I'm glad I went. So that was my experience at the Unity Church. I might try one of the UU churches one day, but and I don't know if I'll be back next week or anything. We'll see how that goes. But I'm really glad I went today, and I think it was a good day for me to go, because they really had some good information for me. All right, well that's my story about the Unity Church. People were pretty shocked to see Andy was going to a church, because I'm pretty anti-religious stuff, like the CODA meeting that I didn't post on YouTube. I only posted on Facebook about it. But I went to a CODA meeting that was Codependence Anonymous meeting that was not technically CODA approved. I mean, they were on the website and said they were a CODA meeting, but they pulled out the Bible and read scripture. And I ended up walking out and having to call a friend and stressing out the entire time. But I also yesterday went to another CODA meeting that I felt was much more affable, well, I can't think of the word, that was much closer to what I wanted, and there wasn't the preachiness in it that I found elsewhere. So I'm glad I went. It was a good experience. Maybe I'll go back. We'll see, depending on how I'm feeling, but I definitely needed to hear the message about gratitude. And it was funny because just yesterday I was invited to a gratitude challenge on Facebook. So it was good timing with everything that's going on in my life. So yeah. And they did bring up the election a little bit. They were kind of she said that she's had to counsel a lot of people who are very upset about the election. She said, well, I haven't heard from anyone who was happy with the election results for some reason. They just seemed to be celebrating their victory. But that was about all that was said about the election, which was good because I just needed a break from that. I know a lot of people are taking breaks from Facebook or whatnot because they can't take the election coverage anymore. But that was my Unity Church experience, and it was positive. I'm glad I went. I guess that's all for today. BPD Warrior out. You guys have a good one.